What if I told you there's an aircraft so elusive, so advanced, that in many ways it makes its predecessor, America's iconic B-2 Spirit, look like a relic of the past? Imagine a bomber that can slip into the most defended skies on Earth, deliver both nuclear and conventional payloads with surgical precision, and is being built not years from now, but possibly ready to fight within months, if the orders come. That machine is the B-21 Raider, and right now, it's closer to combat than almost anyone outside the Air Force has believed. In modern warfare, stealth has always been a high-stakes gamble. R&D budgets that balloon, fragile, low observable coatings that need constant repair, and maintenance cycles that devour manpower and cash. The B-2, for all its engineering brilliance, became a costly cautionary tale. The Air Force needed a different path, something maintainable, upgradable, and scalable. That became the long-range strike bomber program, the B-21 Raider. The Air Force describes the B-21 as a dual-capable penetrating strike bomber meant to form the backbone of a future bomber force alongside upgraded B-52s. At a glance, the Raider resembles the B-2, a flying wing, but the similarities mostly end at shape. Engineers pushed stealth into every seam, recessing engine inlets, refining contours, and employing newer materials to shrink radar cross-section, infrared, and acoustic signatures. It's being built with an open systems architecture, so sensors, avionics, and software can be upgraded like apps on a phone. A deliberate shift away from one-off masterpieces toward fielded tools that can evolve for decades. That flexibility matters because modern air defenses are networked, multi-banded, and adaptive. The B-21's role is to be a resilient node in that battle network. We have concrete signs the program is moving fast. The B-21 made its first flight in November 2023, and the test program has been progressing since, moving from basic flight checks toward integrating mission systems and weapons. Even more significantly, the Air Force announced the arrival of a second B-21 flight test aircraft at Edwards AFB in September 2025, an important milestone that expands test capacity and speeds up the evaluation of mission systems. That's a pace rarely seen in modern aircraft development, especially for a stealth platform. That momentum brings a hard question into focus. Is the Raider actually combat ready? Some test articles are being built so close to their production configuration that, if required, they could be converted for operational missions with limited rework, an unusual posture for testing aircraft. The Air Force and Northrop have signaled plans to scale production using existing facilities rather than building new plants, helping trim time and cost if production needs to accelerate. But scaling stealth at speed has costs, and real ones. Northrop Grumman recorded a substantial pre-tax charge linked to the B-21 program in 2025 after underestimating material consumption and changing production processes to support higher output, a move that resulted in financial losses and investor concern. Those hits underline that even with careful planning, ramping up a stealth program is expensive and complex. Cost remains a central piece of the story. Publicly available benchmarks point to an inflation-adjusted procurement unit cost near $692 million, and the Air Force reports progress in negotiations to drive down per-unit costs, but many specifics remain classified. That secrecy makes it hard for outside analysts to fully verify whether the program is meeting its cost and schedule targets, and it leaves room for debate over how aggressively to expand the fleet. How many Raiders will be enough? The official program of record targets at least 100 aircraft, but senior leaders and strategists are already asking whether that number is adequate against advanced adversary defenses. Some military leaders argue that 100 might be a minimum, and that the force could need 145 or more to provide mass, redundancy, surge capacity, and sustained deterrence. That debate matters. Every additional aircraft multiplies sustainment burdens and infrastructure needs. Those infrastructure demands are no small detail. Bases must be modernized, maintenance crews trained, supply chains hardened, and secure logistics put in place to support a high-end bomber fleet. The Air Force has begun preparing bases and hangars and investing in personnel and training. Yet officials warn that accelerating production makes sense only if the broader ecosystem can keep pace. Push too fast and you risk supply bottlenecks, quality issues, or fresh program delays. There's also a strategic conversation in the background about the right mix of capabilities. Critics question heavy investment in manned stealth bombers, given rapid advances in long-range missiles, hypersonics, and unmanned systems tools that could, in some scenarios, offer cheaper or risk-reduced options. Advocates counter that the B-21's survivable, flexible strike and nuclear deterrence role can't be fully replicated by unmanned systems, at least not yet. That debate will shape acquisition choices and budget priorities in the years ahead. Context matters here. The United States isn't developing the B-21 in a vacuum. China is working on its own long-range stealth bomber, the H-20, reportedly designed to hold U.S. bases in Guam and Hawaii at risk. Russia has long touted the PAKDA, a next-generation stealth bomber concept, though its development has been repeatedly delayed by sanctions, budget shortfalls, and technical challenges. Both adversaries know that penetrating bombers are symbols of prestige and deterrence as much as they are warfighting tools. By moving its Raider toward operational status now, the U.S. is effectively leaping ahead in a race others are still trying to start. Equally significant is the B-21's role in the nuclear triad. Alongside ballistic missile submarines and intercontinental missiles, bombers provide the flexible and recallable leg of deterrence capable of signaling resolve, dispersing globally, or delivering strikes with precision. Unlike land-based missiles locked in silos, bombers can be put on alert, withdrawn, or repositioned to send strategic messages. A stealthy, long-range nuclear-capable bomber like the B-21 strengthens that triad by giving the U.S. an option that's both survivable and controllable in crisis escalation. Allies are also watching closely. For NATO partners, the Raider represents a commitment that the U.S. can penetrate even the densest air defenses in Europe if deterrence ever fails. In the Indo-Pacific, where distances are vast and bases vulnerable, the B-21 reassures allies like Australia, Japan, and South Korea that the U.S. will retain the ability to project power deep into contested regions. Discussions have already surfaced about rotating B-21s through Pacific bases, much as B-2s and B-52s have done in the past. Yet politics and budgets cast a long shadow. Congress ultimately decides how fast and how far the program grows, and legislators balance strategic needs against domestic priorities. Even supporters admit the Raider competes with other pressing modernization efforts. New nuclear submarines, advanced fighters, missile defenses, and space-based assets. Keeping the B-21 on schedule requires bipartisan support and protection from shifting budget winds, something not always guaranteed in Washington. So, where does this leave us? The evidence points to a clear conclusion. The B-21 Raider has moved beyond concept and into an accelerated test and production phase. Multiple flying test aircraft, a growing test fleet, production intent build standards, and infrastructure investments all converge toward an aircraft that is not yet formally declared operational, well on its way. If the geopolitical pressure rises, the Air Force could convert test assets for missions, and scaled production could be ramped up to meet demand. The payoff is more than a new plane. It's a shift in doctrine, stealth that's affordable enough to field in numbers, aircraft designed for life cycle upgrades, and a bomber built to be a persistent, networked node in 21st century warfighting. The remaining unknowns, classified readiness thresholds, exact costs, and final fleet size matter, but the trend is unmistakable. The Raider is no longer science fiction. It's almost here. When the B-21 fully arrives, will it make bombers like the B-2 and B-1 look like heritage rather than frontline tools? Will rivals rush to rework defenses, Or will they be forced to gamble against a stealthy, upgradable strike force? Only time will tell. For now, the B-21 Raider stands as America's next leap in strategic reach, quiet, evolving, and dangerously close to combat ready.